Hey y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden, and today we're in the backyard. We're going to be doing a few different things. We're going to be mapping out and starting to dig a little bit of the back garden just so I can get a visual of the direction I'm going, and we're going to pot up some beautiful pansies that I grew from seed to place on the back porch. Okay, so I'm in the backyard. This direction is south, and basically the ultimate goal is to create a garden across the entire back portion of the backyard. Basically, we wouldn't have any more grass is the ultimate goal over time. And so what I wanted to do today is wanted to start kind of mapping it out a little bit. I might be doing that with spray paint. It's not permanent, just trying to figure out what I kind of see. I see it in my head, but to see it visually drawn out, I think would be super helpful. Now, a couple of things to consider. There are a series of four sprinkler heads all the way across the back. I don't plan on moving those, but I do plan on eventually capping them off. I'm not going to be capping them off at this point in time because we still have the grass and we still need to take care of the grass at this point. I don't want it to be a straight line. I want some interest and undulation, and in some of those curves we can tuck pots, or we can tuck stepping stones and all different kinds of things like that. I think would be really good. Another thing to think is this slopes off, and I could just leave the slope and just put an edging. I may or may not do that. I'm not really sure yet. In my head, I kind of have a vision of just a small retaining wall coming up. It would probably have to come up a foot in some places, and then we would backfill with soil. So we'd have to dig up all this grass, which is not a small feat. One of the things I considered is starting some of this season right here, and going ahead and laying out my cardboard mulch situation to kill a bunch of the grass, which I thought would be super helpful. But let's start by marking it out a little bit. Now back here I have a Japanese snowball viburnum that I have struggled with, and we did some work on it, and it looked great. It's already starting to fill back in, but it will be a main feature in this area. And I just grabbed some of the spray paint that I already had. This is not necessarily the best solution. I actually forgot, I really do want to come back down here around the tree. So okay, so these are just initial lines. I think somewhere over here, although I think that this might swoop and then go down further at some point, might be the end goal. There's Buffy hanging out. Definitely want to go around the tree right here, and then come out a little bit, and then I made a wrong place. I want to go up, so it's a little closer to a trough, so I would actually have some stepping stones, so I'd have access to my trough right there. Come out a little bit. This would be a bigger focal point because it is lined up with this back over here. So coming across, a little bit more of a dip in, and then around here, because eventually all of that back there will also be garden, shaped garden. And then this little space right here, this is going to be another container garden space where I'm actually going to have my peonies that are in containers are going to be in this area because they will get afternoon shade, which I think will be really helpful for them in my area. So this isn't perfect. It's just kind of an idea and a thought process behind it, which is something important. So it kind of gives me a better idea. So with that in mind, I actually need to go in and do some planting right here of a few things that I am thinking that I want to put there. It's going to be a tough decision. I can always dig them up though, because they won't grow so much that it's an issue, but they do need to get in the ground so that they will survive the winter. Okay, real quick, with that being said, I do want to use my root slayer and see what this is like for pulling up dirt soil. So I'm hoping that with my root slayer, I can just go across. I definitely think it's easier than a standard shovel. But this is kind of what I would need to do, because I would need to dig down about minimum 6 inches to deal with the soil or with the grass. And the first layer of this potentially miniature retaining wall that I would be building would need to be sunk down at least 6 inches so that it has enough support. Now, the retaining wall is not going to be like super big, like I'm not looking for it to be perfectly flat all the way to the back. And when the time comes to start figuring out that height, I'll show you guys how I'm going to figure it out. I'll use a plumb line, a string to do it. Show you guys how I'm going to try to level that out. I still want a little bit of slope so that we can drain backwards to us, because this is where the French drain is behind us. My husband's going to come out and be like, "What are you doing?" Digging a new garden, obviously, y'all. And this is not going to be an all-at-once garden. I'm going to have to do this in sections. I would just really kind of think about this section. I know it's in the middle. This is the section I'm thinking about doing first. You would think that starting in the corner would be the way to go. But for some reason, I don't have that figured out in my head yet. So this area is a little bit better. And I kind of feel like if I dig on this a little bit each day, that could be super helpful. And I can go ahead. Oh my gosh, the amount of worms coming up in here. Oh, by the way, I talked to my grass people who take care of my lawn, and I've worked with them for years. They're City Turf. And if you're in the area, oh my gosh, they're amazing. Wonderful company, wonderful people. And so they had a guy come out, Ryan Massey, it's his name, came out and checked everything. He's like, I was asking about the armadillo because we'd had armadillo damage on our lawn. And I was like, is it grubs? Everybody says it's grubs. He said, yeah, you've got some grubs. He's like, not enough to damage any of the grass. He's like, your armadillo is like all your earthworms. As I'm digging this up, the amount of earthworms coming up is insane. He's like, the armadillos are hanging out because they have a buffet of earthworms. He's like, which makes sense because we have a nice healthy lawn and I have a very healthy garden. So there's kind of nothing I can do about it. I mean, what do? Spray insecticide to kill all the earthworms and stuff? I'm not going to do that. That doesn't make sense at all. So anyway, I did want to give you all that update on the armadillos after talking to a professional. And I trust them. I've used their company, gosh, 3 or 4 of my properties over the years. So my husband and I used to buy and sell a lot of real estate when we were younger. We're too old for that now. I hate moving now. But I thought if I could just get this portion of this back garden working before winter, some stuff planted up in it, that would be a really big step in the right direction for next year. But basically that idea, so I went all along that edge Now come back from the other side and just lift the whole section out. So I can see a little bit of a better defined line. This is hard work, but so much better when it's 65 degrees outside. There's just no way I could start this during the summer in triple degree temps. And we only just got out of the 90s. And y'all know me. I'm gonna do my best in building a retaining wall here, but it will be DIY. And it will be on the cheap, which I think is fine. Okay, it's about 7 or 8 feet across. Cool. I can use this extra dirt soil for backfilling. I would also be covering, I'd backfill with a bunch of soil, probably a bunch of compost. And then I would be laying down pretty much heavy, well, I might lay down the cardboard first, heavy cardboard, then heavy duty landscape fabric to start with. I know a lot of y'all are against landscape fabric. I can remove the landscape fabric. Over time, I probably would not pin it in place. Lay down the cardboard, landscape fabric, heavily mulch on the top to kill the grass in this area, and probably wait to really start filling this with things like bulbs. Now, other plants I can, because I can basically just cut through the landscape fabric and plant. But yeah, talk about, this is almost like an 8 by 8, 64 square feet of growing space that I would be adding to the garden. And I doubt I could get through all of this in 1 year. But we would do section by section at a time. I kind of like the digging, which I know is shocking to y'all because you know I hate to dig holes. Y'all, this root slayer, it's awesome. And it makes the whole process so much easier. Okay, let's talk about what we're going to plant back there. Okay, so I have a proven winter shrub. This is called a desert orchid, El Nino. And I bought it last fall. And I couldn't remember why I bought it. I'm not sure why this plant is here at all. We're going to give it a try anyway. I don't know what I was thinking. It's one of those moments of buying something and then I don't know if it was an impulse buy or what. But a little bit about the desert orchid. So it is, let's see, it needs minimum 6 hours of light a day, which it will get here. It's considered to be fragrant, easy care, long blooming. The season of interest is the summer. It's great for borders, foundations, specimen plants, which I'll be utilizing it as a focal point right here. It's hardy in zones 6 through 9, so down to negative 10 degrees Fahrenheit, negative 23 degrees Celsius. Grows about 5 to 8 tall and 4 to 6 wide. And it needs well-draining soil, prune in the spring, and it's highly deer resistant, which I don't have deer at all. The idea is to put it somewhere right about there. It would be a central focal point. It would be pruned to scale. So I would not be allowing it to just grow like crazy. Now, this trellis back here, I'm not sure if this trellis is going to stay here. I have plans now that it was so easy to build that wood arbor. I have plans to build some arbors in between some of my troughs out of wood. And if I built those would be taller. And these are short. I'm tall at 5'10". And so these are just, you know, right about 5'10", 5'6", or excuse me, 5'10", 6 foot. And if we built in an arbor here, it would go much higher. So I don't want to bank on this. I don't want to plant around this. This is a cattle panel. It's very inexpensive. It's done its job for a lot of years. And so if I had to remove it, I think that that would be fine. But the idea is to do something with this desert orchid. It adds a lot of interest during the hottest times of the year when things don't look good here, which is super important for me. Now, it does need well-draining soil. And this area is mostly clay. In this area, let me make sure I'm finding my center right around here. Yeah. It's mostly clay in this area. So here I am digging a hole. You know, I don't like it. I'm going to dig a good size hole. And I certainly don't mind doing it because swear, look at this guy. This roost layer is awesome. So we're going to dig a good size hole for it. And then we're going to use some potting soil and compost to backfill it. Now, this tree is not going to be big anytime soon. So it certainly doesn't have like a massive pot to start off with, which makes it a little bit easier. It's not like I'm digging a hole for like 5 gallon. I think that that guy is just a 1 gallon. I had done some work on the soil at the back of these retaining walls. I actually layered it with compost over the years, knowing that I would want to plant. Ouch. I definitely can feel the concrete or the retaining wall comes out pretty far. And my native soil is clay. You can see a lot of that here. Got some roots all the way out here, but those roots are either from the hypericum berries that used to be here, or potentially, oh yeah, I think that's hypericum berries. I was going to say potentially the willow. Okay, we're going to dump in some compost. Going to drop in a lot of soil. I know this is more than what it needs, but it'll be easier mixing that up because I want to combine the original native soil with the compost and with the potting soil. Okay, so I have a pitchfork for this next part. Basically, all I'm just trying to do is get down there and flip up the soil. Get this all mixed up. Okay. And I am going to put in some biotone. Don't have much left, but I'll put in what I have. Biotone's really good for starting roots, getting roots to grow. And this guy has been in here quite a while. surprised its root system isn't more intense. I do have some roots that are trying to come up to the top though. So let's go ahead and get this guy in. Now, I want to make sure that I am planting it at its original soil line. I don't want to go too deep with it because remember it needs well-draining soil and I have clay. So by allowing it to sit up a little bit more should help a little bit in theory. All right, now, do I still have grass interacting with it? Yeah. And when I get the time and get over here and start layering in all the cardboard, we'll layer it up pretty close to this. I think that'll work really good. So leave my tag in here on it, and then let's go ahead and water it in. Okay, I am not going to be setting up drip irrigation to this guy. Now that we're out of the hottest time of the year, I'm not worried about it drying out. And with the clay soil here, I think it's going to do fine. I feel like I got a few roots exposed, so I'm going to bring some more of the soil up to it. It's like playing in the mud. All right, my tiny little plant. First thing planted in this area, y'all. Very exciting, so much potential. And I will show y'all as I go through this project. This project is not going to be a one video thing. It's going to be happening over a lot of different videos because I'm just going to do bits of it at a time as I have time and as I have the budget to do it. All right, sounds good. Let's make a pretty potted container for my new table on the back porch. Okay, I have this pretty little terracotta bowl. I think I got it from Lowe's over the years at some point in time. And already since I've had this table here, I've already really started using it. I find myself sitting on it to chat with y'all, to take a break, to chill, really enjoying it. And I have a bunch of pansies and violas that I started from seed that I think would look so sweet and soft on here. And I love the idea of just giving myself this like sweet little space. So I'm going to add my favorite potting soil. All right, and these plants are super moist right now. So these violas or pansies, these are called Sorbet XP Delft Blue Pansy. They are lovely and sweet, all grown from seed. I am just beyond thrilled with, and I would love just to have a pot bursting with these. And I feel like this is really a luxury to be able to have this because ordinarily, if I'm about to put as many as I'm putting in here right now, you guys, it would cost me $30, right? And since I grew them from seed, I can be pretty heavy-handed with them. And it costs me minimal, much less. Now these pansies will do fine in a container. If I get super ridiculously cold temps, I'll bring these in. They should do just fine. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. This is gonna be like massively gorgeous right off the bat. Probably should have put some fertilizer in here. Forgot. A little late. I'll still toss in some just on, even if it's on one side. Hopefully it will disperse a little bit. How happy is that? Okay, I took it off the table to water because there is loose soil that's probably going to run out. I want it to get all over the table and all over the patio. So I'm going to water this in really well and then let it drain, and then we'll move it back. Okay, I like it. I think it turned out great. I do have a saucer underneath it just to catch water so it's not too out of control. Now, basically pansies and violas are heliotropic, so they will realign themselves with the sun. Most likely that means they're all going to end up facing that way off the porch. But I'll just rotate it every time I come out here so I can look at them and enjoy them. I really love how they turned out, and it's such a simple idea just to throw all of one flower into a pot and have it sitting on a table. I know, but it's those little touches that really make a garden special. And like I said, since I've had this table and chairs, I've used it quite a bit and I enjoy it. And now this just gives me another added little pleasure right here on the back porch. Okay, so I'm all dressed up. We are about to head out to the Haunted Castle Cafe in Plano, Texas, and it's like a medieval castle feeling, but it's very spooky for the Halloween, and we are going together as a family tonight, and I'm cleaned up. I'm sure my daughter will dress up quite a bit. She most likely will wear a crown, and my sons most likely won't. And my husband will go casual too, but my daughter will dress up, which will be really fun. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It was quite a range of things, starting to talk about the back garden and then digging some of it up and then planting the desert orchid, and then of course working on this sweet little design for the table. Let me know what you guys are still doing. I know a lot of my gardening friends, they're done. We're done for the season. They've already had their first frost coming through, and you guys are really just doing cleanup. I will not experience my first frost until mid-November, and then it will just be most likely a cold snap, and then we will still have warmer weather. So I will continue working. I'm really hoping to get a significant portion of that section that we are working on going, and I think that would be really nice. Theoretically, I'd love to work on that throughout the winter. Will I do it? I don't know. I don't really like going outside in the cold weather, so we'll see. But let me know what you're up to, and if you're done gardening, let me know what your plans are for the future. As always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Every time you like and comment, it helps grow my channel so much. And if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, just drop me an emoji below letting me know you made it to the end and that you say hi. And be sure to check me out on my social media outlets, including Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.